it is important to have the history of Walter Clement Noel into our local history. The Optimist Show is about news, information, entertainment, and activism. Welcome to the Optimist Show podcast, and we want to welcome all of you wherever you are this time, and thank you very much for joining us as we continue to keep hope alive. The Optimist Show brings you the information as it is, and so we are glad to be with you today so that we can share together. Please like and share, subscribe to our channel, The Optimist Show, keeping hope alive.
Tossed and battered, bruised and knocked down, forever changed. But from the rubble, hope rises. The Optimist Show returns.
It's estimated 1 in every 10 people in Grenada have the sickle cell trait. Having the trait does not mean you are sick or unhealthy. Very healthy people have the trait. Unfortunately, many of these people are unaware that they carry the trait. You see, when 2 people with the trait have a child, there is a 1 in 4 chance that the child will be born with the sickle cell disease. That is why it is important to know if you have the trait. Sickle cell is associated with life-threatening conditions, and it can be very painful. You see, the body's red cells can pass freely through the arteries and veins, but the sickled cells can get stuck, and this is what causes pain. This disease, you cannot catch it from someone. It is inherited. You are born with the trait or the full-blown disease. It comes from your parents. So let's talk sickle cell and what it is about and what can be learned about it and how to live with it. Let's all make better decisions about our family's health by learning the facts and getting tested. A message from the Sickle Cell Association of Grenada. Please call 458-6399 or email us at grenadasc@gmail.com.
Well, I must say welcome to all of you today to another podcast on this Optimist Show. You know, one thing I want you to remember about the Optimist Show is that it is always reliable and accurate. So what we share with you, you can rely on that. Because today's program focuses on a very important issue here in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. And so we want to delve into it, look into it, and see how we, as a people, can contribute towards its progress. I'm speaking about this. The month of June has always been observed as month of Sickle Cell Awareness Month here in Grenada. And so there is the Sickle Cell Association of Grenada, and its president, its chair leader is Mrs. David Antoine. And so today on our program, we are speaking with Mrs. Antoine. Mrs. Antoine, good afternoon to you, and welcome to the Optimist Show podcast.
Thank you very much, Mr. Coy, for this kind invitation, and a pleasant afternoon to you and all your visitors and all those who would be able to get this information through this medium.
Yes.
I'm delighted to be involved with the Sickle Cell Association of Grenada, which is now in its 19th year of operation. We are soon moving into a 20th year. And every year, for a number of years, we have been, of course, showing the appropriate thoughts and involving people in the activities regarding Walter Clement Noel, who was the very first person in the whole wide world to be officially diagnosed with sickle cell disease. And one of our major things that we do is to ensure that Walter Clement Noel's grave, which is in St. Patrick's, in what we know as Leapers Hill, near the Catholic Church, that's where his grave is. And so every year, we ensure that it is appropriately maintained and that flowers are put on the grave and that we have information ready for any visitors that will be coming to that site. And let it be known, we have a lot of visitors coming, people who are generally known, some are just history and information, but in particular, we get a lot of people who are interested in the medical history. And so they come from the medical field and also from the general field, from far and wide, to visit the grave of Walter Clement Noel and to be at the side of his tomb sometime during their lifetime, because it was such an important thing.
I would like to think that as an association and organization that promotes issues, and especially Walter Clement Noel is a Grenadian, I suggest, I would think that you and members would go to the various schools and let them incorporate that as part of their history, so that the knowledge and the memory of it will continue.
Yes, we have done that and we continue to do it. One of the things is we got a Grenadian historian to prepare information which was distributed to all of the schools. We also got students from the New Life organization. They made a video on sickle cell and mentioning Walter Clement Noel, and all of these things have been brought into the Ministry of Education so it can be circulated, because of course there has to be it has to go through the Ministry of Education and authority be given to the schools for that to happen. So that should be in every school as far as we're aware, because we have done that. But in addition, we continue to make face-to-face intervention and personal intervention to schools, and to get children to have their authority from their parents so that they could be tested to know whether they have a sickle cell trait or not. Because one of the things, if you have sickle cell disease, it is quite obvious because you're unwell a lot of the time, although you continue to be, to have a fairly normal life. But it does mean that you may constantly have pain, you're constantly unwell, and all of those things that happen to people who have full-blown sickle. But those who have a trait, and that is 1 in 10 of us in Grenada, we don't know whether we have a trait or not. And the only way to know is to be tested by a blood test. And that is one of the things that the Sickle Cell Association is advocating and is doing almost on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to ensure that the schools, the parents, and the children themselves are fully aware of that history. Okay. It's important at this point to say that Walter Clement Noel died in 1916. So really, it's not that long ago. And as a boy, and a number of family members of his were constantly unwell, but they didn't know what was the cause of their illness until Walter was a dental student in the United States, and somebody took an interest in his health because he was constantly in pain and not being well and, complaining of various things. And when that blood test was done, they found that his blood cells were not round, they were sickle-shaped. Hence the name of the condition, sickle cell disease. Mm-hmm. And in Grenada, as I said, we continue here because this is his birthplace, because his family members lived here and so on. We have to be sure that he's recognized for the good that he has done and continues to do, because every single person who is diagnosed, whether in Grenada or anywhere in the whole wide world, with sickle cell trait or sickle cell disease, can say thank you to Walter Clement Noel, really for saving their lives and for giving them the opportunity to know why they're unwell, what is making them unwell, and to seek the appropriate medical intervention or what is needed for their day-to-day living so that they can continue to be good and to spread the word and to make wise choices about their life and their living.
Mm-hmm. I certainly believe it is important to have the history of Walter Clement Noel into our local history. I know when there was the 50th anniversary of our independence, there was talk about Grenadian history. And I certainly hope that will, that knowledge, that understanding will be part of our history. So I think there is a need to continue the advocacy, continue the education, and continue sharing the information about getting people to know what's the status. I think it's commendable.
There are a number of, at least 3 Grenadian historians that we are aware of who have included Walter Clement Noel's history in the documents that they have written. And they copy at least one of those books in the library that we are aware of. So we want to get it spread even more, as far and wide as possible. And there is no better way than face-to-face. So when we go into the schools, when we go into places like TAMCC, Newlo, secondary schools, etc., when we go into those places, medium, all of them doing education so that we can spread the word. And sometimes it's not just to the students, it's to the staff as well, and to the parents when they attend the meetings at the school or have face-to-face contact with the staff at the schools.
Okay. Mrs. Antoine, let me ask you this. What's from your perspective, from your vantage point, how would you describe the state of sickle cells in Grenada? Do you think it's high? Do you think a lot of people are being diagnosed?
Yes, we would say so. And from the number of people that we test every time, it certainly stands up to what is known as 10% have a trait. So if, for example, if we test 30 people in one intervention at one health fair, we will find that generally 10% of those persons would come out positive with a trait. The people who have sickle cell disease, because the disease is quite separate from the trait. As the trait, you're a carrier of the condition. As a sickle cell, what we call a sickler, a person with full-blown sickle cell disease, that person, of course, has a medical condition that requires them to attend the clinics, see their doctors, make sure that the teachers, their parents are taking the necessary action, and they themselves as children, because there are a number of things that happen at that time. But yes, 10% from what we are seeing definitely live up to what is known as the statistics available. Mm-hmm.
I think it says 1 in 10. Yes, in Grenada here. Mm-hmm. That's the statistic. So every 10 person you see, one would have at least a trait or the full blown.
We hardly ever see people coming to be tested if they're full blown, because generally that would have already been found out either in the neonatal life, when they're first born, or later on they have some symptoms that would take them to the doctor that would require testing, or the doctor would order, and they would know then very early that they have full blown, because the earlier full blown sickle cell is diagnosed, the better the condition, and the better it can be treated, and treatment can be started, and counseling and follow up and so on.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's now speak about the activities here in Grenada. I mentioned at the beginning that this is Sickle Cell Awareness Month. And what are some of the activities being done to even promote and continue that awareness?
Okay. We always start at least a week with a religious service. And this year on Sunday the 22nd, that service will be at the Anglican Church in St. George, Grenada. And we are hoping that the satellite group that we have in Carriacou will also be able to attend the service in the Anglican Church, or whatever that they're able to, but we would, that's the way we are thinking, so that both islands get that opportunity. Following that, there's a social, certainly in Grenada. We wish we could bring down all the people from Carriacou, but unfortunately not. But we hope, Milton, I know that you are with the small group up there, that you are planning that there would be the volunteers, because I want to stress particularly that all the people who are in the Sickle Cell Association are volunteers, so that they would come together and maybe have a conversation and so on and so on, and some light refreshments. And after that, every day of that week, we are involved in some activity to which we have been invited, a health fair. There's an activity at the Grenada Boys Secondary Schools, where schools from all of the islands that have been invited by Fit for Life will be there, the organization called Fit for Life. Then we have Food Fair has health fairs that we will be partaking in. Foodland has health fairs that we'll be partaking in. We are staging an exhibition in IGA Mall that will be done. And we are also positively working with the mental health department to ensure that there is some input from the Sickle Cell Association in the drive that they are having. I think they have invited us to be part, or at least to give our support to and run the island drive in Grenada and also in Carriacou on mental illness and mental health. And of course, there's a serious psychological effect if you're a sickler or the parent of a sickler, or you are in a family where there are other children or the members who are either have a trait or full-blown sicklers, because you're constantly concerned about the person, and all of that can be considered psychological weight on you. So we want people to know it's not just a physical illness, but it has a psychological impact on all concerned, which is why it is so important to know the fullness of it and the possibilities and how to cope with it. If you're a parent of a child with sickle cell who's constantly unwell and constantly in pain, or even in pain once a month or once every 3 months, it's a serious worry to you, because you are concerned about your child and your wellness and illness, and taking them to the doctor and going to the hospital, and it's a full-time situation. So all of that weighs very heavily on you. So not the physical side is very important, but the psychological, the fact needs to be brought to the fore also. Okay.
So what are some of the other things that the association is doing? Apart from the fairs, the health fairs, to create that awareness for 2025. Because I understand that there's a theme. The theme for 2025 is trust through progress, propelling sickle care universally.
Okay.
So how does care come in there? Yes. Go ahead.
Sorry.
I was asking how does care, sickle cell care, come in there as part of what is happening?
Okay. Care comes in because the counseling that is done, the information that is given out, the answers that we give to people, the clinics that are held. There are 2 clinics for children in Grenada and 2 for adults who are adult sicklers. And those are medical clinics attended by doctors and nurses and other specialists in the medical world, to ensure that they get the support that is needed. In addition, there are medications that they need to have, vaccines that they would need to have. All that is done. We also ensure that the families, at least once a year, those families who may be in need, that they get some support with the day-to-day things, such as the meals that they would need and so on. We try to reach out to them and to refer them to the necessary authorities. And we ourselves, although I repeat that we are volunteers, we ourselves ensure that they do get some sustenance, at least around once a year, but as often as it can be done. So all of that is involved in the care and support of the sicklers. And then we put them in contact with other families, and we tend to give them counseling and support about occupations that they can be involved in, so that the companies that are willing, and we're asking for more and more companies to employ people who are sicklers, because of course they get ill from time to time and they may have more time off work than other persons. We want to ensure that the companies that they are working with support them enough so that they keep as well as possible. And when they need to be off work, that they get the necessary support and advice and referrals that they would need.
Okay, well, you have shared some valuable information, and I want to thank you so very much. But before you leave us, Mrs. Antoine, I would like you to leave a message to us as a nation in regards to the issue of sickle cell, and why is it necessary? Why is it necessary to know your status at this time?
It is necessary for all of us to know our status so that if we don't have a trait, then that's fine. If we do have a trait and we are getting into a relationship with male, female, whatever, you're going to get married as a man, women having children, you need to know what your partner's status is so that can, you can have those discussions among yourselves. If you have siblings within the family, then that is important for them all to know. And also, if you have a person who is working in your workplace, who is a member of the church that you go to, any other organization or group to which you belong, it is important to have the information so that the appropriate support and referral can be done. And the Sickle Cell Association tries to ensure that we pass on the message to everyone so that everybody can be supportive of be your brother's keeper, in other words, and know about the condition, know about Walter Clement Noel, and most of all, try to ensure that history, which sometimes we doesn't come to the fore in our country, that history is shared far and wide, and that Walter Clement Noel is appreciated and declared the medical hero that he is for being important in such a health condition, because the whole wide world is aware of him. And the Sickle Cell Association is also in constant contact with regional and international organizations so that we are constantly being kept up to date with anything new, any new treatment, any new advice that needs to be given, any support that needs to be given. We are in constant contact with the regional and international bodies.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Antoine. And tomorrow, we are doing this on the 18th. Okay. Tomorrow is Sickle Cell Day. And I want to wish all of our viewers, listeners, and followers, make use of the day, get some information as you can, and follow what the Grenada Sickle Cell Association of Grenada is doing, so that you can be also part of spreading the message of donor status.
And continue to spread the word. Don't let it just be a week or even a month. Continue always to be aware and to know and to help and to support and to make contact with the Sickle Cell Association, because you have Milton and group in Carriacou, and then you have the national group of which Milton and it are affiliated, seriously affiliated. Yeah. And more than that, when you have other organizations, when you are putting on any health-related activities, please invite the Sickle Cell Association to be a part of that activity so that the clients can be met. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Okay. All the best. All the best to you and members. Thanks.
And to you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
It's estimated 1 in every 10 people in Grenada have the sickle cell trait. Having the trait does not mean you are sick or unhealthy. Very healthy people have the trait. Unfortunately, many of these people are unaware that they carry the trait. You see, when 2 people with the trait have a child, there is a 1 in 4 chance that the child will be born with the sickle cell disease. That is why it is important to know if you have the trait. Sickle cell is associated with life-threatening conditions, and it can be very painful. You see, the body's red cells can pass freely through the arteries and veins, but the sickle cells can get stuck, and this is what causes pain. This disease, you cannot catch it from someone. It is inherited. You are born with the trait or the full-blown disease. It comes from your parents. So let's talk sickle cell and what it is about and what can be learned about it and how to live with it. Let's all make better decisions about our family's health by learning the facts and getting tested. A message from the Sickle Cell Association of Grenada. Please call 458-6399 or email us at grenadasc@gmail.com.
Welcome to Karaku, where traditions, culture, and connections meet. Conscious tours can provide an experience of a lifetime. Getting to know the people and their lifestyles. Visit historical sites. And the taste of a sumptuous local cooking. Enjoy the ride. With Conscious Tours, Karaku. Providing quality memories. Special and complete weekend packages for up to 7 people are available. For reservations, call 1-473-407-4597. Conscious Tours, Karaku.
Thank you for joining the Optimist Show. Please let us know what you think by leaving a comment and giving us a thumbs up and subscribing, and of course spreading the word. You can always rely on the Optimist Show to deliver accurate information, and guess what? I'll see you on the next show. We shall run, oh, run, and we shall grow stronger than before. We shall run, oh, run, and we shall go further than you